Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Paula Levitt, and I'm the Assistant Director of Experiential Learning out of the Global Learning Hub for UC Davis. I'm excited to welcome you all here today for our event called Graduate Study, Research, and Internship Opportunities in Germany with Funding. And so before we get started, I just wanted to let you know a little bit more about the UC Davis Global Learning Hub. If you haven't explored our website or come to visit us in person, the UC Davis Global Learning Hub is a virtual and physical space on campus where you can find opportunities related to global learning on campus, in the region, and around the world. So we have study abroad, global internships and research, community engagement, skills and leadership. We have a section about after graduation, global opportunities, as well as funding. And so what we're talking about today is funding opportunities in Germany, research opportunities in Germany. And we have two presenters here with us who are going to give you two examples of ways that you can engage in research in Germany, specifically focused on graduate and professional students. And so I also wanted to let you know, in addition to this being an event as part of our Global Learning Showcase, which is happening all this week, it's also an event that's part of our Global Career Development Series, which you can find on our website, which has a variety of upcoming events for all students about updating your LinkedIn profile with a global twist, about funding, about opportunities. Um, so feel free to explore that page and keep an eye out for upcoming events. And so I would like to pass it off for introductions to my colleagues, Hani Geist, who works as the Senior Manager of University Relations with the DAAD, which she'll tell you more about, and Amre Vogel, the Humboldt Internship Program Coordinator at Humboldt University in Berlin. If at any point throughout our presentation today you have any questions, please feel free to type them in the chat box and we'll get to them when it's appropriate, or there'll be an opportunity at the end to unmute yourself. Feel free to keep yourself muted and keep your camera off if you like, or you can have it on. And without further ado, I'll pass it over to Hani.
Thank you, Paula, and thanks for having me. I'm going to share my slide here. All right. So again, welcome. And thank you for joining us today. My name is Hani Geist. I represent the German Academic Exchange Service here in the Western region of the United States. And just for you to know a little bit about me, I studied, I have a graduate degree from the Free University of Berlin, so from Germany, but I also have a graduate degree from an American university. I was also an international exchange student, so I'm familiar with both systems, and this is just for you a little bit of background information, which really I'm happy to talk to you about the DAAD programs that we offer, but also if you just want some more personal information on what it's like to be a student in Germany versus the US, I'll be happy to talk to you about that. And so today, and this is really just a very quick overview, I'll talk to you about what DAAD is and what DAAD does, and then the funding opportunities that are available to you specifically on the graduate level. And I will focus on research, but there are also opportunities for you to study and internships. And so DAAD is simply put the higher education arm of the German government. We've been around for quite a while at this point, and we have offices worldwide, and we're one of the largest funding organizations. One thing that is important to note, maybe that's relevant for yourself, maybe you have friends, DAAD supports also international students. So if you don't have a US passport, DAAD you are eligible for DAAD funding as long as you're a full-time student at UC Davis or any other institution. or you graduated from a US institution. And so I know that UC Davis also has a large international student population. Maybe you have friends, and so you can pass that along if they also are looking for funding. And so DAAD provides funding. We have scholarships and grants for all disciplines at all stages. And we provide general information about studying and doing research in Germany again. And if you have questions that are more personal, if you would like to know what it's actually like, I'm also happy to chat with you in person at some point later. So we have 2 offices in the United States, the New York office and myself in San Francisco. The New York office really is where the program officers sit. So if you apply for any kind of funding, the program officers that will be dealing with your application will actually sit in New York. But when it comes to advising, I'm your main contact, but if I'm not available, you can get in touch with my colleagues in New York, and the contact information I will have at the end of the slide too. And I will share that with Paula, so you can also have access to the slides later on. And so when you look at this map here, there are a lot of other little dots here, and those are our research ambassadors and young ambassador locations throughout Canada and the United States. And those are individuals, the young ambassadors who've studied or did an internship in Germany, and the research ambassadors, those are individuals who either pursued a PhD in Germany or maybe German and graduated from a German university, but now they're in the US, or they're US-based researchers that have extensive experience with research in Germany. And so this is really, even though they may not be on your campus, they have a profile on our website. You can see the link here. They have email address, they have more information on their research interests and also where they were in Germany. So I really encourage you to look at those profiles. They're really from all academic fields, various stages of their academic career. And so this is really fantastic research for you to also ask questions about maybe the application process a little bit more in detail, or really what it's like for a person to study or specifically also do research in Germany. So you joined this presentation, so I assume you already have your reasons why you want to go to Germany, but let me tell you a little bit more why we think that going to Germany is really a great way to advance your career. And so high academic standards for reasonable cost or no cost when you study in Germany. Otherwise, when you're focused on research, there's a great research infrastructure, and these are just a few cities here on the map where universities are located, but really they're all over Germany. For you as an either international student or international researcher, Germany at this point is quite international. So there are about 10 to 12% international students, and the research institutes that I will show you here in a second are also quite international. And so for our grants, but also to study in Germany, to research in Germany, to work in Germany as an academic, as a researcher, German is not necessarily required if it's not required for your degree. So if you're focused on STEM, for example, the labs are usually very international, and the language in the lab is English, also because there is a strong collaboration with other countries. And so really also when you think about going to conferences, which unfortunately right now is not possible, all of these things really happen in English. And so here are a few examples. You may have heard of them. So if you're interested in research, there's a great research infrastructure, and there are a number of Max Planck institutes, Fraunhofer institutes, and also Helmholtz. So, and these combined really cover various forms of research and in all disciplines. And so if you're specifically interested in that, I also invite you to go to the individual research institution websites, they also have maybe positions open, or maybe they look for researchers and collaborations. So if you're interested in something very specific, I recommend you reach out to those institutes specifically. Before I talk about the funding, I think it's important to talk a little bit more about what living in Germany actually costs, because coming from Germany, I grew up in Berlin. Certainly the costs of living are a lot lower in Germany. And so I want you to keep that in mind, especially when I talk about the funding opportunities that are available. So the foreign ministry currently, and that's visa related, assesses that you need about 870 euros per month. Of course, that depends on the city. You can see here a little bit what that would cost. So the first one, Miete, would be the rent. So that's about 330 euros. And then food, maybe 160 euros. And so the costs also for travel, if you are a student, if you're a researcher with a student ID, you will be able to get a public transportation pass that's part of your registration at a university. And that, for example, with Berlin, and we're talking about Berlin today, even lets you go to Potsdam, the surrounding area, with that registration. So you don't even have to pay for those additional travel costs. And so really, Germany is really great for students. It's very affordable. And in addition to that, as a student, you get also reduced costs for healthcare and other kind of discounts that you would also see maybe here in the United States. We are talking about research and internships, but for anyone who may want to look into graduate programs, PhD programs, there are no tuition fees. The only state currently that charges tuition fees is Baden-Württemberg, with 1,500 euros for international students. So, of course, there are a few other reasons, and just to name a few, Germany is centrally located, and while travel is currently somewhat restricted within the Schengen area, travel is possible, and if hopefully we sometime soon get past the pandemic and travel and sightseeing and visiting other countries is possible again, Germany is a really great place to do so, and also a very cost effective you can really explore. So DAAD funding, I will focus on a few grants in this presentation, but all the funding that's available you can find on Funding Minus Guide. And generally speaking, you get a stipend that covers living expenses, you get health insurance, travel reimbursement, and some, oftentimes you also get invited to grantees meetings. Again, generally speaking, open to all fields. German is not required, and you don't have to be a US citizen. And so the first opportunity is Rise Professional. That's an internship opportunity for students in master's and PhD programs in the STEM fields. Here you would work at a German company or a research institution, and you would get research experience in a very specific environment. And every year we have more than 1,000 internships technically, and then about 300 grants and interns are actually placed. And so the database opens November 1st, December 15th is the deadline, and you can, even if you're not currently interested, maybe that's not for next summer, maybe that's for the summer after, you can look at the database and see what kind of internships will be offered. And let's address the elephant in the room. Yes, the pandemic is certainly something that we have in mind. However, at the moment, we operate under the assumption that travel is possible, studying again is possible, and also international research is possible. So all of our funding that we normally offer, we also offer this year. If you know some German, maybe it's not your degree program, but it may be of interest to you.
undergraduate and graduate students are invited to apply for university summer course grant. You only need to know basic German to be eligible to apply. You can look at the database on our website, and this is for 3 to 4 week courses that either may be relevant, you can take as an elective that's relevant to your degree program, or you can just use that to learn some German. And this is really on literature, culture, politics, economics, and just explore the database on about 200 courses that are offered throughout Germany. And then finally, the study scholarship for graduates is an opportunity if you are interested as a master's student, as a graduate student, to study in Germany for 1 year as part of your degree program in the US. Or if you're interested in maybe an additional master's degree, that's also possible. You can apply for funding. The deadline is coming up very soon for the next academic year. What's really important to know for you, you don't have to be enrolled at a university by the time of the application, and this deadline is always for the next academic year. If you are interested in degree programs or just identifying universities, the Higher Education Compass study in Germany and the Research in Germany website are really great resources where it's really a one-stop shop for you to find programs, identify universities, but then also once maybe you have decided on where you want to go, you, of course, may have questions about the visa process, about housing, about health insurance, and those websites can also answer all of these questions. There's one more grant that I will mention today, and that's the research grant. And that is for someone who maybe you already work with a researcher on campus, you have a very strong background in research, you know exactly what you want to do, and maybe you have specifically a institute in mind in Germany and someone you want to collaborate with. And for those individuals, we have the research grant, either short-term or long-term, that would enable you to do research either at a university or at a non-university research institution or at a just separate research entity that's publicly funded. And so there are 2 deadlines for that. Again, the next one is coming up in about a week, but then there will be another one May 3rd. And again, we currently work with the assumption that travel is happening again, research is happening again. If you apply for this funding and for whatever reason this is not possible due to the pandemic and travel restrictions, you may also be able to postpone that. So if you are generally interested, I would encourage you to apply to this grant. So again, I mentioned for this one, you can apply for funding to do research at a university, but also non-university research institutions and companies and institutions run fed by federal or state authorities, so publicly funded. Tips for success. You took the first step. You're here in this meeting, so you find out about the opportunities. All of our funding opportunities have their separate pages with detailed information, so I encourage you to really look at these closely. And then strong applications also explain clearly why you chose the location and the program. We don't have a preference for certain topics or certain institutions, but it has to be relevant, and you have to elaborate on why this is relevant to your academic career. So here are a few more links. Again, I will share these slides with Paula so you can also take a look at it and then directly click on it. And here's the contact information for our offices. Again, this really doesn't make a difference if you contact me or my colleagues. I would be the first contact, also because I'm in your region, I'm close, but my colleagues in New York will also be able to answer your questions. And so feel free to type in your questions in the chat box. I'll be able to answer them here. But later on, if you have any questions at a later point, feel free to reach out to either me or my colleagues in New York. And so that is all the information that I have right now for you. And I am happy to answer your questions. I think what we first will do is switch over to Amwai for her presentation, but I will be monitoring the chat if you have any questions in the meantime.
Thank you very much. Then I maybe just directly go to my slides and share my screen. Okay, I hope you can see my screen now.
Yeah, we can.
Perfect, thanks. Okay, so thanks again, Paula, for the invitation. I'm very happy to speak here and to tell you more about the Humboldt Internship Program, which is a special cooperation between the UC Davis and Humboldt University in Berlin. Just 2 short notes about myself. So I graduated from in Berlin here at Humboldt University, and I've been working in the field of international short-term study programs here at the International Department for a couple of years now, first as a student assistant and now full-time. And myself, I did a research-based MA program, and I still am pursuing some research. So this is why I'm kind of close to that academic work field of research. And Humboldt Internship Program is also about doing internship in academic research at Humboldt University. So this is what I'm going to talk about today. First, I'll give you some general information about the program. I will focus on the application and then expected expenses and funding, but this is also something Hani already mentioned. And then you will learn something about the program benefits and the internship projects in the end, of course. So the Humboldt Internship Program offers students the opportunity to become part of work teams at Humboldt University in Berlin, virtually or in person next year. As a participant, you would engage with academic research or entrepreneurship on a high level. So if you are really into your field of study and you like working in teams and also independently, this might be a good chance for you to actively experience research and the academic life. The duration of the internship is always 12 weeks, so it's 3 months. And you can choose the project you want to be part of course. So you can work either for a research project or a university-related startup. The dates for the internships for you students from UC Davis are June 14 to August 27 next year. And so the dates which you see on our website are slightly different because the dates have been adjusted for UC Davis students so that it aligns with your quarters. And of course, like hoping that the, excuse me 1 second. Hoping that the global health situation improves quickly and that travel restrictions are lifted, we plan the internships for next year all on site in Berlin. But in case the on-site session is not feasible due to the ongoing difficult situation, we will shift the internships to the virtual space or postpone the dates. So whichever way suits best for you and the project, this will be arranged and discussed individually then in that case. Apart from the internship positions, we also provide you with, so let's say, good to know facts about living in Berlin, and assist you with organizational matters concerning the preparation of the stay and during the internship here in Berlin. And apart from your intense engagement with the internship, we invite you to a diverse cultural program just to make the best of your time in Berlin. It will include like city tours, sports, guided tours in museums, historical sites, art galleries, as well as excursions outside of Berlin. And so in the end, you will be part of your work team with your research project, but you will also be part of an international community together with students from all over the world participating in the Humboldt Internship Program and other international short-term programs at Humboldt University. So how can you apply for the program? First, of course, you go to our website, and then you go to the project list and select a research or startup project you want to apply for. And also you identify 2 backup options as your second and third choice. And then you start your application through our application portal. So in there, like there on the application portal, we will ask you to to upload required documents such as your student ID, a statement of motivation, and other documents. A special service for you basically is that you can contact Paula by November 15 if you would like her to review your application before it's been sent to me. Or uploaded in the application portal. So the deadline for application is December 5 this year. And then once you submit all the documents, you just wait until we get in contact with you. So, and you will receive a notification when your application documents are sent to the project supervisors. They might ask for an online interview or a phone call, or they will send an email with further questions. Like this depends on their kind of process, what they would like to do. The project supervisors, they select the candidates based on the application documents, obviously. And it might be worth mentioning that the letter of motivation is particularly important in amongst the documents. So, and also the project supervisors, they also appreciate it if they can see which courses you have taken in the recent years, because this way they can recognize your actual interest in your field of study. And then usually the supervisors, they don't expect that you have like long previous work experience or that you prepare before the first day of the internship. Instead, they just want you to be highly motivated and have some pre-knowledge in the field. And of course, like also that you study something which is related to the research focus. And then once you are admitted, you will receive an email with further instructions concerning the preparation of your internship. Now about the expenses. So there are, at Humboldt University, there are only 2 payments to be made. The first is the program fee, which is 106 euros. And then the enrollment fee, which is 200 euros. But as Hani already mentioned, the enrollment fee includes the public transportation pass for Berlin. And these both payments are one-time payments. So there is nothing more to Humboldt University, but of course there are personal expenses such as like travel costs, health insurance, accommodation, and diverse other costs. Then we also offer funding specifically for students from partner universities, and UC Davis is one partner university. So you can apply for scholarships awarded by Santander Consumer Bank. And with a scholarship, you will be granted 750 euros per month, which amounts to a total of 2,250 euros. The application for the scholarship is done separately from the application for participation. So after the deadline for participation, all candidates will receive detailed information about the scholarship application. The program benefits for the participants of Humboldt Internship Program are then first, you will receive 15 ECTS credits from Humboldt University upon successful completion of the internship. ECTS is a European system for academic credits. And these at UC Davis, these will be recognized as transfer units, not as UC Davis units. And then also we will issue, of course, like final documents for you stating the successful internship and also some details about your performance. So these project supervisors will write something about like a short assessment of the internship. And so it will be a certificate of participation and a transcript of records, like with some details also about like your tasks during the internship and so on. The research projects are in various academic fields. Some are in STEM subjects or chemistry, computer and information technology, science, literature, art history, music, and other fields. Here on the screen, you just see like a couple of examples of the titles of projects for next year. Some of the research projects are also collaborations with other research institutions. And we also offer internship positions in startups that are affiliated to Humboldt University. So if you do an internship with a startup here, you will also get an insight into the field of entrepreneurship in general at Humboldt University and also in Berlin, because they have a quite strong community, and so with community events and so on, which might be interesting. And right now we are still in the process of finding more research projects for internships and more positions. So the final list will be online by November 9th, and then the application will open on November 16th. And here on our webpage, you also see the full program, the full project list. So how to find one project for internship? So when you go to our website and then you open the project list, you simply click on one project title to see more information, as we did here on the screenshot with this one project, computational modeling of drug detoxification. And then, so you see the most basic facts about the internship, and then the button More Info opens a more detailed project description with different sections, as you can see here, with the about like general information, the project, and then here the last section is internship position, where you see more details about the tasks for the intern or the academic level requirement. Yeah. Humboldt Internship Program is now part of the Humboldt International Campus, which is relevant because when you go to our website, like you will see Humboldt International Campus, and then you first have to click on Humboldt Internship Program. Just like, don't be like confused about that. And with Humboldt International Campus, we unite various short-term activities at Humboldt University in Berlin. The website was launched just a couple of weeks ago, basically. So you can visit the webpage for more information about the Humboldt Internship Program, as well as other international programs at our university, such as the Summer and Winter School, which is also fully online now. And yeah, as I already mentioned, when you're here in Berlin, you will also be in an international community with the other participants of the programs of the Humboldt International Campus. And also a summary of the most important facts, and the web links are also available on the webpage of UC Davis Global Learning Hub. Of course, feel free to contact me anytime in case you have further questions or you want some specific information also about one specific research project. Yeah, just send me an email or message on social media. That's also possible. On social media, you can follow Humboldt International Campus, which covers all programs. And there, of course, we publish content about Humboldt University, Berlin, and also, of course, some important deadlines and dates and more details about the program. Good. That were so much about the Humboldt Internship Program. Thank you very much. Now,
Thank you so much. Now, does anybody have any questions? As you're thinking of your questions, feel free to type them into the chat box. I wanted to share a couple of upcoming events. We do have the rest of our Global Learning Showcase. There are 2 additional graduate-focused events later this afternoon. So if you have not seen those, please feel free to go to the Global Learning Showcase website. And then our Global Career Development Series as well. And now would be an appropriate time for questions. So feel free to pop them in the chat box or unmute yourself if you would like to ask over video. Hani, there is a question for you in the chat box if you'd like to read it and answer.
Mm-hmm. So the question is about the DAAD study scholarship, if it's recommended that applicants receive acceptance from the chosen program before applying to the scholarship. So there is no requirement for you to be accepted or that you've even applied to a program. Also because all our deadlines are a year prior to the start of the program, where a lot of the universities don't even have an open application yet. And so in that case, if you want to apply for the study scholarship for a master's in Germany, you would apply a year ahead. You would list the up to 3 universities you want to apply for. You can apply for funding when you already have the acceptance letter, but that would then only be for funding for your 2nd year. So it's not recommended that you apply for DAAD funding when you're accepted. It's just not possible for you to get the 2-year funding if you're already accepted, unless you defer, which a lot of the German universities don't actually do. You would then have to apply again. So it's not necessary, and it's actually not advisable to wait that long if you want funding for the full 2 years.
Thank you. We have 2 more questions. The first one is, what is the availability for larger research grants or postdoc fellowships?
Mm-hmm. So larger research grants, postdoc fellowships. So DAAD has the short-term, the long-term research grant, but then on the more advanced level, you're looking at funding from the German Research Foundation. And I will, once I'm done talking, I will put the links in the chat from the German Research Foundation. Those are more project funding. And then the Alexander von Humboldt Foundation, that is actually great because they provide funding for postdocs, also for a little bit longer research. And oftentimes those grants also allow for you to either take it in one go or decide you want to split up your research stage. So both of those, Alexander von Humboldt Foundation and German Research Foundation, I will post the links here in a second.
Great. There is another question, but before I get to it, I also wanted to make sure everyone has access to the session evaluation. So if you could start to fill that out as we're answering the last couple questions, that would be great. I'll also try to pop the link into the chat box. So the next question is, where did my questions go? Here we go. About opportunities for students who are not yet in graduate school. And so maybe Amre, would you like to start answering that question, and then Honey can contribute after?
Yeah, so basically the Humboldt Internship Program is also open for students who are not yet in graduate school. Basically, it's open for students, also BA students or not yet graduate or PhD. The only thing is that you need to be enrolled at your home university. But in which stage doesn't matter then, basically.
So for those that are not yet in graduate school, DAD, since this was a graduate school, a focus presentation, I didn't elaborate on that, but the funding that's available through DAD is available starting on the undergraduate level. By the time of the application, you just need to be in your second year. And again, on the daad.org website that I also just posted again in the chat, when you go on there under the funding tab, you can look for funding based on your academic level.
And then did you also want to share the presentation that's happening after this?
Oh, yes. Do you have the link, or I have the link? So I am going to talk about, actually, I can do both. I'm going to do a specific presentation on RISE, which is our research internship in science and engineering. And this is a specific presentation on that. So I will focus a little bit more on the application process and the details about the internships. So if you're a STEM student and interested in paid research opportunities in Germany, throughout Germany, the presentation starts at 1. It's 1 to 1:30.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions? Feel free to type them in the chat box or go ahead and unmute yourself to ask. No? Well, in that case, thank you so much for coming. If this was your first Global Learning Showcase session, I hope this won't be your last.